this morning, don't pay no attention to the typographical error. This morning we'll explore, or we could explore, elitism, education, and enlightenment. This is Lama Jigme Gyatso of the Buddha Joy Meditation School. Welcome to Meditate Like a Jedi. This is the Lama you were looking for. Let's see. This morning we could chant and meditate and enjoy a lesson or two. But first, if you love Star Wars and you wish to meditate as profoundly as Rey Skywalker on Ajahn Class under the guidance of General Leia Organa, be sure to subscribe and ring that notification bell. I need to take a moment to tend to my quasi-side monitor. Excellent. Okay. Once again this morning we could explore elitism, education, and enlightenment, that you too could meditate like a Jedi. If at any point during this morning's live stream you have a question, there is no need to be shy. Simply type your question in great detail in the chat window on the right-hand side of the screen. If you're watching a replay, you'll want to type your question in the comment area below the video. This morning's lesson is drawn from the fourth passage of my adaptation and amplification of the Padmakata group's translation of Dzogchen Rinpoche's Heart Treasure of the Enlightened Ones. Dzogchen Rinpoche was a great Tibetan saint, and this was written in the late 1800s. The true Rishi, the Munindra God of Gods, attain the true level through the true path and truly show this true and excellent path to others. Is that not why he is known as the true Rishi? Okay, so Rishi here is an ancient Sanskrit term. It refers to ascetics who let their hair grow long and their beards grow long. And sometimes they twirled and tucked their beards and hair. Sometimes they didn't. Sometimes they were in absolute fright. But the important thing was not their superficial appearance, but rather, one moment, their accomplishment. They had put aside the concerns of society and the concerns of politics, even quasi-religious politics, and devoted themselves exclusively to the acquisition and the mastery and then the dissemination of the spiritual path. Now, some people will use dissemination of the spiritual path as an excuse to be greedy and cutthroat. No, they were not like that. Their method of acquiring students was not to acquire students. People would come to them. And that's pretty impressive. So Munindra is one of the superlatives, one of the nicknames for Buddha. If it sounds familiar, it might sound like Muni. Muni Muni Maha Muni Yeso Ha, which is short for Shakya Muni, or Sage of the Shakya clan. So this is just another way of saying, this is just another nickname for the Buddha. No, God of Gods is interesting. God of Gods is not supposed to be taken literally at all. It is a metaphor. So a god is typically an object of worship, and typically one bows and makes offerings and sings praises and supplications to an object of worship. And then they will, either take bad things away from you or give good things to you. In the Buddha's case, it's the opposite. He was really anti-regulation and anti-ritual. Only the regulation he was interested in was love and kindness. Everything else is an add-on. But what is inferred by this phrase in this context is that, yes, there are many statues depicting the Buddha in many lands. If all we do is bow before these statues and make offerings before these statues, we're missing the point. If these statues inspire us to meditate, then they have done what they were intended to do. Attain the true level through the true path. This is inferred in the Anapanasati Sutta, where he talks about two things, true knowledge and liberation. And true knowledge here is not becoming a pseudo-spiritual king of trivia, but rather means mastering the path of mindfulness, the path of mindfulness that is paved with vulnerability, passivity, but by being vulnerable and passive and visceral and spontaneous. That takes great courage. That's the true path. The true level is mastering letting go. That doesn't mean things don't affect you. We are still subject to interdependence. The winter is cold, the summer is hot, we're subject to both. What it means is we've gotten very, very good at not only noticing what we're experiencing, but letting go of what we're experiencing. And if we're terribly clever, the path that gets us there is blending those two phases, mindfulness and release, with our breathing phases, inhalation and exhalation, respectively. And truly show this true and excellent path to others. There are some elitists who say, well, I've accomplished a path, I'm not going to help anybody else. In fact, I'm going to make it harder on everybody else. We see this repeated several times in history, where people who have received great benefits in life get to a certain place of rank and power, and then turn around and make sure that those avenues of power are closed off to others. We see that happen in Japan. The first shogun did that after he became shogun. He made it tougher for anybody else to do what he had done. So this is nothing new in the state of human affairs. When I was in a Jewish fraternity way back in the mid-'80s, I remember a conversation, and the new brothers said to the chapter president, why can't we do this in such limited pledges? It was done to us. And to which the president said, but you didn't like that, did you? So the president, his name was Pat, I forgot his last name, but he had a very enlightened attitude. So our job is, once we accomplish the past, once we master the Buddha's teachings, our job is not to hinder others, but to help others in the kindest, most gentlest, most effective way possible. Ideally, to make each generation's journey to enlightenment swifter and easier than the generation that came before them. Is that not why he is known as a true rishi? So what makes the Buddha a true rishi? Is it his top knot? No. Is it his beard knot? No. Is it his fame? No. Is it his numbers of students? No. What makes the Buddha is that he accomplished the path. He maintained the path by continuing to contemplate and meditate every day. And he helped others by example and by instruction and by helping others to be able to do likewise. So not positioning himself as the only teacher, but teaching others how to be teachers as well. This is important. There are a lot of people who are intoxicated by the thought of elitism, by making themselves look special and look good, by making others look worse. Sometimes when someone trains a replacement of their job, they do a bad job deliberately so that they look better by comparison. So in Buddhist terminology, we often hear the words Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha. Sangha refers to the Buddha's students. And we take refuge in the Buddha's students by being taught by senior students who've mastered the path. So the very fact that the Buddha was more interested in benefiting humanity than making a name for himself is one of the things that made him a true teacher. Before we start chanting and meditating, I'd like to take about 52 seconds for housekeeping. Metaphoric housekeeping. I'm not going to break out a mop. Every 12 hours, I broadcast a live meditation class without any ads. This channel is supported by the generosity of viewers like you. With your help, this channel could come to support the next generation of nuns, monks, yogis, lamas, and even brick-and-mortar meditation centers, each replete with a resident teacher and their apprentice. And I would love it if these centers did not charge anything. They accepted donations, that would be beautiful. But, in the Jewel Rosary of Gampopa, it's taught, do not hold the Dharma ransom. So, yeah, it would be nice not to be greedy bastards. So if you like this idea and you want to help out even for as little as the cost of 1 cup of coffee a month, cool. Just poke around the description area below the video. There you'll find links, one for Patreon, one for PayPal. You'll find 2 YouTube buttons, one marked with the word join and one marked with a currency symbol. Click any one of these 4 things and Bob's your uncle. Checking the time. Okay, here we go. We'll shorten time, so let's go straight to this morning's practice text. Excuse me. We do not chant superstitiously, but as a preparation for contemplation and meditation. You could think of this chanting as an act of zeal, which would qualify as the 6th fold of the Buddha's 8-fold path. So I gotta push the right button in the right sequence. Here we go. Let's begin by selecting a meditation. Let's by choosing a loving meditation, loving motivation for meditation. Perhaps I'll stop tripping over my own words. So first thing I want to do is update the image because I made a better quality of this the other day. Let's see, here it is. Okay, I think it's a higher quality. Maybe you don't. Let me know in the comment area. And copy and delete. All right. I'm checking to make sure everything's okay with the display. Because sometimes the display loses its little furry mind. May everyone be free from stress, may everyone be happy. May no one be separated from the happiness. May everyone have balance from the tyranny of hating, craving, and clinging freed. Namo Buddhaya, Namo Dharmaya, Namo Sanghaya, liberation for all. Namo Buddhaya, Namo Dharmaya, Namo Sanghaya, liberation for all. Namo Buddhaya, Namo Dharmaya, Namo Sanghaya, liberation for all. So, we're going to begin by transitioning from elitism to egalitarianism through the cause and effect of my practice of love and letting go. May each sentient being of each world now practice with me in unison. Let's explore the idea of an archetype of enlightenment. We see an archetype of enlightened activity before us, this woman who appears to be green. So, what's the deal with that? Well, contrary to the ravings of fundamentalists, this is not an object of worship that we should treat as a god or a quasi-parent. This is an archetype whose iconography acts as the stuff we build metaphors out of. The 8 metaphors are actually 12 metaphors we're going to play with during the contemplation session of today's practice. Contemplation of love and contemplation of letting go constitute, respectively, the second and first folds of the Eightfold Path. Now you might say, why work with metaphors? Well, vertebrates on this planet evolved to think symbolically. So figurative language has a great potential. And so if we view the archetype as a call to realize our own enlightened potential, it can be very productive. To paraphrase I forgot her last name, Jill Stein, I think. It's Jill Stein. We are the heroes that we have been waiting for. Dr. Jill Stein. Excuse me, she worked very hard for that degree. So let's explore the meaning of the mantra. Om Maja, the noble lady, Tara, Watara, you are swift and gallant. Sorry. Watara, you are swift and gallant. Will do Tara, you banish fear. Will today you fulfill every need. Will so may it be so. So we're going to explore 21 facets of the archetype's lore. If we're superstitious, we'll take a literal view of it. If we are wise, we'll look at it allegorically. O Maja, the noble lady Tara. O Maja, Tara, swift and gallant, glance flash, tongue twister. Glance flashes like flares of lightning, more on the heart of a blossoming lotus that rose from the tears of the triple world's Lord. Homage to her countenances, 100 full moons. Okay, this is an editing opportunity. Please bear with me. The screen is going to go nuts. It does that from time to time. A master whose countenance is like 100 moons gathered in autumn. A master whose oopsie, that's weird. His countenance is like what? 100 full moons gathered in autumn. Smiling and glowing with brilliant radiance like 1,000 stars clustered ablaze. So let's dispel with the attitude that if we're pious, we'll be sullen. No. If we accomplish the path, we're going to be joyful. The third enlightenment factor is joy. So we don't have to force this joy. If we practice the path correctly, it bubbles up spontaneously. A mortal golden blue lady lotus hand is graced with her water born. Okay, let's check once again. Okay. Homage, golden blue lady, whose lotus hand is graced with a water-born flower. Generosity, diligence, endurance, serenity, patience, meditation, and body flower. We're having some fun now, eh, kids? Homage, golden blue lady, whose lotus hand is graced with a water-born flower. The embodiment of generosity, diligence, endurance, serenity, patience, and meditation. All Masha whose victories are endless, wish of ending jewel of their great Tathagata's crown. She is well said by the heirs of the victors, those who have accomplished all the perfections. All Master whose tutare and whom fill the desire roams unto the ends of space. She tramples under the seven worlds and has the strength to summon all. Let's make sure the page is in sync and continue. Almasha praised by Indra, Agni, Brahma, Maruts, and Shiva. Bhutas, Vetaras, Gandharvas, and Yakshas pay tribute to him. Refers to receiving respect from the goodies and the baddies. O Masha who with tray and Pekrashi and Misantras do test, with right leg bent in and left extended, shining she treads a mist flames wildly blazing. O Masha who with Turi the fearsome lady is the destroyer of the most powerful demons. Lotus face yet deep furrowed brow, she is the slayer of each and every foe. All Masha whose fingers grace her display of the mudra of the three jewels, graced by a wheel adorning every direction, emitting a dazzling radiance that overwhelms all. Amasha her supreme joy, Amasha her supreme joy. Amasha her for whom supreme joy is a radiant gold, and the grounds are in splendor. Smiling and laughing when to Tade she brings demons in the world under control. Amasha her who can summon the host of earthly guardians. Her proud quivers with a suitable whom that delivers us from every misfortune. Amasha her so brightly adorned with a sliver of moon as her crown, as Amitabha graces her locks gleaming rays forever stream forth. Almashu seated in a halo blazing with apocalyptic flames, her right leg stretched out and left bent inward. Immersed in joy, she crushes legions of foes. Homage to her who on the earth's surface strikes her palm and stumps her feet. Her brow deeply furrowed, with whom the seven nether worlds are tamed. Homage to her blissful glorious domain, the peace of nirvana, with whom in so in perfect union she lays waste to every terrible evil. Homage to her who immersed in rapture shatters the bodies of all her foes. She manifests from the wisdom syllable and displays each of the mantra's 10 syllables. Homage to they who feast stomping boldly formed from the seed of the syllable. The supreme mountain Mandara, and all the three worlds she causes them to quake. Okay, that's as far as I got today. Let's see how far I get tonight. I'm going to check once again to make sure that everything's copacetic. So, we've created this picture of this dynamic, enlightened entity, loving and joyful and bold. When I was a little boy, I was very impressed with the Alec Baldwin's Obi-Wan Kenobi as he's squaring off with the horrific Lord Vader, taunting with the words, "If you strike me down, I will become stronger than you can possibly imagine." Forgive the paraphrase. That's boldness. May all beings have the joyful wisdom, peaceful love, beautiful health, and safe boon of green heroines, mythical mind, speech, form, and lot. As we chant the mantra, I could feel as if emerald rays were emitting from a thumbnail-sized horizontal tinselable mantra rosary at our heart, lavishing our minds, communication, bodies, and circumstances. With joyful wisdom, peaceful love, beautiful health, and safe good fortune. And now we come to the actual practice of mantra meditation. Our mantra meditation is going to consist of 8 exercises, 4 for love and 4 for the wisdom of letting go. This corresponds to the second and first folds of the Buddha's Eightfold Path. Now, when we say love in Buddhist Tantra, we don't mean the emotion, we mean the intention, because we can choose to be loving regardless of what we feel. We can feel quite cranky and cruel and petty and mean, and yet choose to still be kind. That does not make us hypocrites, that makes us grown-ups, who are no longer slaves to every random impulse that shoots down the pike of our mind. One moment, if you please. Let's see here. Let's make this 137. See if that works better. 137. 140. 142. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to use words and figures of speech to guide our intention. We're going to silently and mentally recite those words of intention as we breathe in. As we breathe out, we're going to do two things. We're going to chant the 10-syllable mantra, and we're going to physically relax as best we can. Now, if that sounds like I'm asking you to walk backwards while chewing bubble gum, I am. But don't worry, if you do this every 12 hours for a week or so, it'll feel like you've been doing it your whole life. So let us lovingly wish that all minds of all beings now possess the wisdom of letting go of a Buddha, symbolized by a one-syllable mantra known as a seed mantra. Om Tare Dura Dura Zo 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 Om Tare Dura Dura Zo. There we go. That last note is sometimes elusive for me. Om Tare Dura Dura Zo Om Tare Dura Dura Zo Om Tare Dura Dura Zo Om Tare Dura Dura Zo. We're going to shift gears and now wish that all communication and its interpersonal consequences of all beings now be as kind as a Buddha's communication, as a real or imagined Buddha's communication, symbolized by the 10 syllables of the mantra arranged in a circle. Om Tare Dura Dura Zo 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 Om Tare Dura Dura Zo. Shifting gears, let us lovingly wish that all bodies of all beings of all worlds, real or imagined, were now as beautiful and as healthy as the body of this archetype of enlightened activity, an archetype which is a word that can be translated into Tibetan as yadam. So if this is your first time, let me show some mercy, and we'll quickly go through a drill or two to master the 10-syllable mantra. I'm going to say a syllable and you repeat it. Om, Om, Om. Good. Now, ta, 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 like ta-ta, and like a ray of sunshine. Ray, ray, ray. We now use the syllable two, like a ballerina's tutu. Two, two, repeat after me. Two, repeat when I point to you. We repeat the second syllable. Ta, ta, ta. We repeat the third syllable. Re, re, re. We repeat the fourth syllable. Two, two, two. We repeat the third syllable. Re, re, re. You know, take the Sanskrit word swaha and use the Tibetan pronunciation soha. So, 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 and conclude with the sound of laughter. Ha, ha, ha. And then we connect it like a child's model toy set. Let me check the display real quick to make sure everything's copacetic. Okay, Om, Om, Om. Now we connect it. Om Ta, Om Ta, Om Ta, Om Ta Re, Om Ta Re, Om Ta Re, Om Ta Re Tu, Om Ta Re Tu, Om Ta Re Tu. Om Ta Re Tu Ta, Om Ta Re Tu Ta, Om Ta Re Tu Ta. Om Ta Re Tu Ta Re, Om Ta Re Tu Ta Re, Om Ta Re Tu Ta Re. Om Ta Re Tu Ta Re Tu, Om Ta Re Tu Ta Re Tu, Om Ta Re Tu Ta Re Tu. Om Ta Re Tu Ta Re Tu Re, Om Ta Re Tu Ta Re Tu Re, Om Ta Re Tu Ta Re Tu Re. Om Ta Re Tu Ta Re Tu Re So. Om Ta Re Tu Ta Re Tu Re So. Om Ta Re Tu Ta Re Tu Re So. And at long last, Om Ta Re Tu Ta Re Tu Re So Ha. Om Ta Re Tu Ta Re Tu Re So Ha. This is, by the way, a Tibetan pronunciation. Om Ta Re Tu Ta Re Tu Re So Ha. You'll notice that in the Tibetan version, we really don't trill the R's like we do in the Sanskrit version. Om Dade Du Dade Du Re So 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 Ha. Om Dade Du Dade Du Re So 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 Ha. Let us lovingly wish that all circumstances of all beings, of all worlds, real or imagined, were now as safe and as fortunate as is depicted by artists, as fortunate and as safe as a Buddha's real or imagined paradise or Pure Land or Vati. Om Dade Du Dade Du Re So 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 Ha. Om Dade Du Dade Du Re So 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 Ha. Om Dade Du Dade Du Re So 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 Ha. Om Dade Du Dade Du Re So 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 Ha. When you're tone deaf like me, finding the right note really feels like you're Indiana Jones in a Temple of Doom. Well, that completes the love section. We now turn our attention to the wisdom of let it go. We're going to explore that in 3 parts. First, we're going to review just what is meant by emptiness and voidness. Spoiler alert, they're not supposed to be literal, but figurative. Then we're going to use 4 exercises that are mantra empowered to viscerally let go. And we're going to conclude with 4 non-mantra oriented exercises to help us intellectually let go. May I let go of all circumstances, bodies, communication, and minds, as if they were as ungraspable as a vast empty void, like the illusion of the infinite azure sky on a bright and beautiful cloudless morn, which, although tantalizing to the eye, could be not graspable to the hand. So, for the next 8 exercises, we're going to play with rhetorical questions. These are questions we ask without striving to answer, because mere asking helps our brain to make stronger connections or new connections. Why is it that as we inhale, we can visually perceive our circumstances, and yet as we physically relax into the recitation of the mantra, this exact same circumstances can begin to feel as if they were as non-graspable as a real or imagined paradise comprised only of lights. Om Dade Du Dade Du Re So 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 Ha. We're using the natural mechanisms of our autonomic nervous system to help us to relax and therefore let go. No great mystery. There we go. Prettier. Om Dade Du Dade Du Re So 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 Ha. Om Nani Nu Nani Nu Re So 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 Ha. Om Nani Nu Nani Nu Re So 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 Ha. This is what the Buddhist philosopher Nagarjuna meant by the two truths, that although things can be seen, that doesn't, although we can perceive sight as we breathe in, we could let go of it as we breathe out, appearing yet void. Congratulations, now you're a genius. How is it that as we inhale, we are able to sensually perceive our bodies, and yet, as we physically relax into the recitation of the mantra, these exact same bodies could feel as if they were as non-graspable as an archetype of enlightened action comprised only of light? Om Nani Nu Nani Nu Re So 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 Ha. Om Nani Nu Nani Nu Re So 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 Ha. Om Nani Nu Nani Nu Re So 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 Ha. Om Nani Nu Nani Nu Re So 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 Ha. Whoops, look at that. Let's fix that bad boy. Okay. Why is it that as we inhale, we can auditorily perceive communication and its interpersonal consequences, and yet as we physically relax into the verbal recitation of the mantra, this exact same communication, whether it is kind or cruel, could feel as if it was as non-graspable as a mantra comprised only of light? Om Nani Nu Nani Nu Re So 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 Ha. Om Nani Nu Nani Nu Re So 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 Ha. Om Nani Nu Nani Nu Re So 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 Ha. Om Nani Nu Nani Nu Re So 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 Ha. And hit paste. The screen's gonna go nuts. It does that sometimes. Don't pay it no, never mind. I will deal with it momentarily. Okay. So here we go. I'm going to fix that. Oops, wrong button. Here we go. Why is it that as we inhale, we can clearly perceive our mind's functions of perception, emotion, intention, thought, memory, and imagination, and yet, as we physically relax into the recitation of the mantra, this exact same mind, whether it is wise or foolish, could feel as if it was as non-graspable as a seed syllable tom, comprised only of light. This completes our mantra work. We turn our attention to our mantra free for final contemplations. We consider, if you will, confusion. Its two pillars would be the errors of competitiveness and the errors of clinging. Therefore, we shall contemplate their antidotes, which would be cooperation and impermanence. We shall do so figuratively. How could all places blissfully melt into a rainbow light that absorbs into this body? How can all bodies blissfully melt into rainbow light that absorbs into this communication? How could all speech blissfully melt into rainbow light that absorbs into this mind? How could, wow, I've lost the note. Here we go. How could all minds blissfully melt into rainbow light that absorbs into infinite emptiness? So I'm going to check on the display. Let us now rest in the nature and in awareness's nature of non-graspability. Or to put it more succinctly, let's rest in the non-graspable nature of awareness. Welcome to the live stream. If you have any questions about meditation, type them as explicitly as you can in the chat window. May all beings have the joyful wisdom, peaceful love, beautiful health, and safe boon of great heroines, mythical mind, speech for man lot. May all beings like great heroine, master being, flexible, loving, laid back, egalitarian, cooperative, and kind. May all beings practice of kind communication, conduct, and calmness, flow spontaneous and uncontrived. May all beings practice of kind communication, conduct, and calmness, flow spontaneous and uncontrived. May all beings like great heroine master the Eightfold Path as well as liberate others. May each being take auspicious rebirth, master the Buddha's path, and then help all others do likewise. Approximately 10.5 hours, we could return to explore tinnitus, resistance, and meditation. Until then, may you and yours be happy.